Hey everybody, welcome back to Starkey Forum. I'm Samantha. This is Steven. Alright guys, to understand what I'm trying to tell you, you're going to have to watch the whole 9-minute video. That's all I'm asking for. 9 stinking minutes. That's it. But here's the thing. Don't bring up tariffs and stock market and U.S. aid and American poverty if you're not willing to hear what I have to say, because this is what mainstream media doesn't want you to know.
Watching the news recently?
Tariffs 101. Before you comment on them, know what they are. Roll it.
It's important to remember that tariffs aren't just tools for trade wars. They're a key part of economic independence. Before income tax was introduced in 1913, tariffs were the main source of revenue for the U.S. government. This allowed the country to fund itself and grow without directly taxing citizens. Tariffs protect American workers and industries from being undercut by low-cost, lower-quality foreign goods, allowing American businesses to compete and thrive. By levying tariffs, we maintain jobs and encourage domestic production, both crucial for national security and prosperity. Tariffs also help the U.S. negotiate better trade deals, pushing other countries to lower their trade barriers in exchange. So, who would oppose tariffs? Globalists.
These are great.
Politicians
These
and
videos.
crooked elites whose only care is wealth and power. They take advantage of cheap labor and lax regulations abroad. They take advantage of you. Enough is enough. Tariffs are about valuing our workers, our consumers, and our nation. Let's keep jobs in America and use tariffs the way our forefathers did, to protect our economy and our future. We need strong economic policies. We need tariffs, not taxes. We need to put America first and begin a new golden age.
So most of you know YouTube stole our money. If you would like to support our channel so that I have a louder voice, so that I can continue to educate people, please look at the top of comments. There are 4 different ways that you can donate directly to Steven and I so we can continue doing this. So Steven and I were just talking about this. Before you were taxed, before they did taxes, you got to work and keep all of your money, sweetheart. Can you imagine? No IRS. You may have had a few local taxes, but there was no taxation on what you brought home. You could make as much money as you wanted. And guess what else? Your government never touched your money. Why? How did they run a government when they didn't touch your money? Because they charged people in other countries to bring their goods here. It's called a tariff. So now they're trying to tell you on the news that tariffs are going to make you poor. Well, they made us rich before, so how are they going to make us poor now? And why are you taxed at 37% now? And there still are some tariffs on goods coming into this country, folks. So why does the government need your money so much? What are they doing with all that money? They're pocketing it. Why do you think you have millionaires sitting in Congress?
They're sitting there saying we're gonna rebuild a city over here in Afghanistan. They go over there, send their military, they rebuild a little bit. They do not take all of that money and send it over there to do it.
No, not at all. Not at all. They better wake up, America.
Under the table, they slipping it in their pockets.
All right, Steven, before you met me, had you really ever traveled out of the state of Louisiana? Other than work? Like,
No.
No. Okay. Had you ever really taken a vacation?
No.
Had you ever flown on a plane?
One time when I was a very, very, very little kid and I didn't ever want to get back on one.
Okay. Had you ever left the continental U.S.? In other words, had you ever flown over an ocean?
No.
Okay. Guys, it's important for people to understand perspectives of other people. In America right now, 11% of people polled in 2019 said they had never left the state they were born in. And I believe that. I know numerous people in my community that have never gone further from home than maybe 100 miles. That's it. That's it. They've never really engaged with anybody from another culture. They don't have any perspective of what life looks like.
Japanese stuff.
Right? I just made him go eat at a Japanese steakhouse.
I'm full-fledged American. I like my hamburgers, my real American steaks.
I know you do, honey, but it's all about perspective. And something that my parents were really big on was exposing me as a child to museums, to the capital of the country. Most Americans have never even been to Washington, D.C. They've never seen any of our monuments. They know very little about the country that they live in. So many Americans have never lived in a home that was paid for, or even knew a person that actually paid their mortgage off. There are Americans that have never bought a brand new vehicle. Right now, today, there are Americans that must decide which bill are they going to pay and which bill are they going to push off and pay later. Now, here's why I'm telling you this, because on the flip side of that, there are Americans that have never had a mortgage on any home in their entire family. There are Americans that have traveled abroad to multiple countries. They have flown on a plane and flown first class. There are Americans that only pay cash for their vehicles and have never had a car loan in their lives. And I'm talking brand new vehicles. There are Americans that, honest to God, don't understand when somebody says, I'm believing God for my electric bill. I am believing God for my phone bill because I don't have enough to make it. That little $150 or $200 bill, there are people that if you said that to them, they would think to themselves, wow, they don't have 150 bucks. That is the growing separation in the classes of America. There is one side of America that never has enough, is perpetual poverty and lack. And there's another side of America that has never known a day of hunger. If they want to stop and eat lunch, they simply stop and eat lunch, folks. It never crosses their mind that if I stop and spend $40 on lunch, I may not have enough money to pay my bills this month. They've never known that. And listen to me now, I'm not picking sides. I'm not telling you that this side is better than this side, or this person's right and this person's wrong. What I'm telling you is that our country is in serious trouble when you have a divide so wide in the way that people live. Now, the difference between Stephen and I and how we were raised is pretty big. So when Stephen met me, it was a little bit like a shock, because my family's always making plans to travel, and he's like, where are they going now? And I said, Disney World. Not all the time. They travel, no, not so much in the last couple of years. My dad really doesn't like Disney World anymore, and that's for obvious reasons. But the thing is that we've always been travelers. Our children are spread out across the United States and other nations. And it was hard for him to understand that when my family made plans, it was like, hey, we're going to drive to Arkansas, then we're all going to meet up, and then we're going to go to Missouri. He had never known people that paid cash for everything and owned everything. And until I made the mistakes in my life that I did, I had never lived where I didn't have enough money to pay something. I didn't understand what it meant to live in lack. Now, folks, I'm going to tell you this, and a lot of people are going to want to disagree with me. That's between you and God, friends. Honey, when we started tithing, were we ever in lack again? And it was hard. It was hard. You're talking about a man that was raised in an orphanage who was perpetual lack.
Didn't want to give that dollar up.
He didn't. He couldn't understand it. Why does God need my money? And I would tell him it's not about that. God does not need your dollar. But the fact that you're willing to trust God, the faith in giving it to him willingly, with a giving heart, tells him that you're in a place that you can handle money. If you always tithe, you will never have a love of money. hit you. It will not destroy your life. That is what they don't teach when they teach people to stay in poverty, because that's what Satan wants you to be in.
It's what the government wants you to be at, period.
Thank you. I'm starting to rub off on him. Because guys, let me tell you something. When you start tithing, your finances take a turn for the better. And you start to get out of debt because you're living by what the Bible tells you to do. The world wants you to believe that it is unfair for America to charge reciprocal tariffs to other countries. Somehow that's going to make you poor. Boo, is you not poor now? This is all I hear on this channel, and I'm not fussing at anybody, but I hear it all the time. I live on $600 a month. I live on $700 a month. Same, I don't have enough to make it. Then why would you be against your president evening the playing field, folks? You need to really stop listening to people that are trying to tell you that tariffs are bad. America used to be rich. Some of you are still living on what your parents' parents left you. Why is it not like that now? The baby boomers are said to have been the most wealthy generation in America ever, folks. That is most of your grandparents and or parents. And like I'm going to say further in this video, it is also something a lot of us are still living off of. We're inheriting from that wealth. But let me show you something that they're not going to tell you when they're talking about how tariffs are going to hurt America. Our parents were the generation that decided, hey, let's have, free trade around the world. And when they did that, Americans became poor and income tax became a thing on Americans. So they began to tax you more when they had never taxed you before, and we had less money coming in on tariffs, which ruined our ability to create American goods and sell them worldwide, because yes, Chinese goods became cheaper. Now here's also something nobody's going to tell you. American products were made to last. And you could buy a tool that will last you 60 years. You could buy a car that will last you 30 years. You can't do that anymore. Cheap goods, cheap labor, cheap manufacturing. It's time we get out of that poverty mentality and bring the wealth back to America unapologetic. Because everything was changed. So it's time to change it back. Like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to support our channel for more amazing videos like this, look in the top of comments. We're here to check on my father-in-law. I gotta go.